Hey, do you remember Skylanders? If you're new around here, I've become quite the connoisseur of toys to life recently. It's a genre that blasted off back in 2011 and since to this day has fizzled out to amiibos and Starlink Battle for Atlas? Oh, un momento. Yeah, it died too. I swear, is this genre some like monkey's paw curse or something? These were the guys that started it and ended it from 2011 to 2016. And again, I've talked to plenty of each game individually, so please check out those videos if you want to know more. But for our SparkNote version, Skylanders were some sexy bitches.
Damn it, you are handsome. I was just thinking the same. We are sexy. We are sexy bitches, yeah.
I truly respect the Skylanders series, and reviewing 1 through 6 was a journey, and wrapping up the Imaginators review was bittersweet since I was finally at the destination I worked so hard towards to. So Skylanders on 3DS is the series of games that practically never get talked about from what I've seen. Usually the highlights of Skylanders are the ones on the consoles, especially the Wii, because that drove the success for the series until they pivoted to the Wii U and thus the dark ages begun. But no one really even talks about the Skylander games on the 3DS, and I don't know why, and my guess is probably one of the three: shallow marketing, the game is just a forgotten relic that certain fans remember, or it was just dog crap and we don't talk about it. But either way, I had no clue about these games until I was like halfway through my review series with Skylanders and then realized, oh shit, there's 3DS games. I should give them a check out one day. There's a total of 5 games I'm focusing on: Spyros Adventure, Giants, Swap Force Trap Team, and Superchargers Racing. Imaginators basically just got a Switch port, so we're not gonna count it.
You're not in this episode.
What's crazy is how these games were literally being published at the same time as the mainline game, and yet no one ever talks about them. Hey you, do you play Skylanders 3DS?
No?
Oh, I understand. Thank you.
He must never know.
So I want to take a retrospective view through all the Skylanders 3DS games, and there's about 5 in total, so we got quite an adventure, because I want to make sure if the Skylanders 3DS games suffered from one of the 3, and that is either poor marketing, they're either dog shit, or they're actually really good games and just forgotten relics that certain fans just know about. Because I am so curious what happened in these games. Also, for the sake of the review, you are going to notice 2 different qualities. That is because I reviewed a majority right behind me, and some of it via the actual, experience. Won't say what it is exactly, what we used. But that's all because looking at a small 3DS screen for about 2 hours or more puts my 66-year-old brain into cardiac arrest. Starting off with Spyros Adventure 3DS, our introduction to the 3DS realm, with this version being developed by Vicarious Visions, one of the developers I praised highly for their involvement in the Skylander series. SA3D takes place elsewhere in the Skylands at the Radiant Isles, home to the Mystic Seekers, that the darkness sent one of his strongest soldiers, Hector, who begins his reign. So Fargus and Wendell, summon the Skylanders, but Fargus gets captured, so it's up to Wendell and the Skylanders to free each Mystic Seeker and then take out Hector to purge the darkness from the Radiant Isles. Truly a ham sandwich of a plot, but at least they tried something different than chaos, leaving his stories to the mainline series and focusing more on their individual stories. Yeah, what the hell is a name like Fargus? Hi, my name's Fart Nipple. I work in real estate. The story is okay, but I'm here for the gameplay. I want to see what makes the 3DS games drastically different than how the console versions are. I mean, what are they going to do? Add a jump or dash?
Alright, I get it!
So yes, Spyros Adventure 3DS has the ability to jump and even dash within the game that changed the trajectory of the levels, as in the console versions the levels are slower and explorative, as in the handheld side they are more speedy and high on platforming. I find this actually better because this faster paced gameplay jingles the keys to get my attention, and it allows the handheld series to stick out more by being these bite-sized speed challenges. The levels themselves even promote it by having linear design that is a downgrade, as I can't remember a highlighted moment aside from some of the themes, yet some of my favorite moments were pulling off sick platforming maneuvers. Oh, yes. I'm touching myself there. Within the levels, you have challenges like finding items or collecting enough radiance that will earn you stars, and when completed it triggers a race to the finish with Hector making his appearance. That goes from fun platforming to a race to the finish, as the lower the timer gets, the more hectic the level gets, and if you don't make it, it's instant death. I was not expecting this from a Skylanders game, yet the pace does sit back as you also do arena levels that are focused on collecting radiance and fighting enemies. These two styles of levels are the main format to the game, and as you collect stars from any type of challenge completed, you start chipping away to unlock more levels that free the Seekers, to then facing Hector himself in a decently bland boss fight, but it makes sense why we never see him again.
Who are you? I am. Who are you? I am.
So off the bat, the level design is a fresh taste to the Skylanders series, with the mechanics needed to back it up, and even the adventure packs are here with some fun additional levels to get some more game time in. Yet my favorite aspect to the game are the changes to the Skylanders gameplay. Most of them function the same, yet their gameplay is tuned differently for the new game style, like Wrecking Ball actually flinging himself like a wrecking ball.
Perfection.
And with these versions, they don't upgrade through money in the game, but rather in levels, mainly reaching to level 9 when they have the full package. Some of their moves are way cooler than in the console versions, especially since some Skylanders got gypped with simple attacks, and especially a goddamn flying move. But since the 3DS game has those aspects built into the mobility, Vicarious Visions was able to take advantage of the Skylanders and build more upon them. Like Ghost Roaster having a way cooler moveset that allows them to have mobility but swifter combat.
You might have Flap and the rich lady under your spell, but it's gonna take more than that to impress me.
I love to see these Skylanders reimagined with their movesets, and of course, some are not as cooler than their console counterparts, and you also don't get to choose a path you want for your Skylanders moveset, but I felt this strengthened the handheld side by making it a unique difference to the main console series. Especially when the starter pack 2 comes with Igniter, Stealth Elf, and Dark Spyro, contrasting Trigger Happy, Gilgrunt, and Base Spyro. And yes, I have to say Dark and Base because this shit is some Shadow and Sonic differences.
See how much more awesome the evil side is? You get to do cool stuff like this.
Ooh, terrifying. Oh.
Dark Spyro plays different to regular Spyro, with Dark Spyro's moveset being more this cynical version of melee and plasma projectiles, as our wholesome dragon plays the same as before, but with a new addition of a combo projectile attack. I wish they would have done this for all the variants, because I really like the ability to play as two of the same character but in separate ways, rather than just this is Trigger Happy and this is cooler Trigger Happy. Now, one of the big features to Skylanders is how you have to have a figure and a portal, and usually the portal connects to the console. But what do you do with the handheld side? You got all these figures, how the hell do you connect it to your 3DS? You make it tiny. Oh my god, these little portals are so adorable. They're like the butt plugs of the actual portal, but they're really cool looking, and I mean, they're exclusively only used for the Spyros Adventure and so on 3DS side. But here lies the problem to Spyros Adventure 3DS. You can only have 2 playable Skylanders at a time, thus eliminating the portable aspect of being a 3DS game.
No. You know what? That's it. I'm done. I quit.
Most likely due to hardware limitations, SA3DS has a mechanic where you can only register 2 Skylanders at a time, then switch between them, and if one faints, you can revive them with Radiance. Yet this is a major flaw to the game. look, at home, the ability to only play as 2 Skylanders isn't really that bad. You're probably going to have them all around you, so it doesn't hurt to just flip and flop them while you're there. But again, this is a handheld console, and mommy says I can't bring this to McDonald's. But the problem lies in the fact that this is the handheld version, and the selling of these consoles are to be taken out on like road trips or vacations. So when you have a game focused on physical figures and it needs about 7 different elements on them on hand to get the full experience, I doubt anyone had the time to lug their figures when they played on the go.
SBR, you are being accused of 90 hate crimes, 2 trespassings at Round Table, and tickling the World Peace Ambassador. How do you plead your case?
Sir, my rebuttal are these. It's a small bump, but one that I feel puts these games at a disadvantage since you may have to run through a level again later when you're missing the right elemental Skylanders since you decided to play on the shitter. But overall, Skylanders Spyros Adventure 3DS is a genuinely fun game. I can't believe how they played with the formula to make a unique experience to the series and not try to replicate it in a smaller fashion. I find the series more fascinating with a faster game style, and really my own complaint is just how the game isn't as mobile when you can only play as 2 figures at once. Now how the hell am I supposed to take you to the shitter? So Giants 3DS is a funny game because when it came to the console version, Giants took the Spyros Adventure formula and just bettered it. And I want to say the same here, yet I feel like Spyros Adventure 3DS was already great, and the developers and Space felt that too by just keeping it to what it was and called it a day.
Open sesame! Well, I've done all I can do.
In terms of the plot, I do find it more memorable, as back in the old times, there was a pirate named Captain Frightbeard who would terrorize the Skylands and was banished by the Archeans, who locked the crew in the Chest of Exile. Yet he is back and planning to unlock his crew, so with the help of Hugo and Flynn, oh my god, this already feels at home already, you go and find the location of the chest and defeat Captain Frightbeard. What a Yarhar story. Captain Frightbeard doesn't do much to the plot until the end, I would say, plus his design is truly butt ugly, looking like a splice of Carol from Where the Wild Things Are with scurry and AIDS. Yet a neat factoid is that in Superchargers he is actually a villain you can unlock and play with, so they carry that lore of the 3DS series surprisingly. Still confuzzled on who the hell Dragon Hunter is.
Was Dragon Hunter originally set to be in the storyline in Superchargers? He seems like a Riz exclusive villain.
Nope. He was based on the Elite Dralan created just for the racing. Fuck.
So I praised the Skylanders Giant console version for upping the game, not too heavy but better than before, and I want to say the same for Giants 3DS, yet everything is the same, but now these chunky fucks are here. Hopefully security doesn't pat me down at the airport because I got contraband up my asshole. The Giants still act the same from the console version with some unique changes to the moveset, but they lost the visual impactfulness like the consoles had. At least they invested in cardio this time. Also, the level design took a major shift, focusing on what the console series is, with levels being more explorative, like finding giant exclusive places, wider areas to compensate for the Giants' size, and more enemies to combat with. They even changed the format of the levels where you complete them to build up to the goal. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed every bit of this, since I had more time to tinker with the Skylanders moveset. But once the levels got longer, the ability to only use 2 Skylanders on hand became more problematic since you can't Tony Hawk your way to the end. So by increasing the expansiveness of the levels is great, but not when you're stuck with 2 Skylanders on a handheld system, plus you left Eruptor back at home. I do like Giants 3DS because I still had my fun, but the fact of 2 Skylanders is something I felt was really holding back the Skylanders handheld series. But if they did anything right, it's the fact that Hugo was back since they retired his ass in the console series.
You're as beautiful as the day I lost you.
Now on to our third installment with Swap Force 3DS, that again was developed by N-Space, and I did some further research into them and realized that they are kinda like the handheld or port-in developers to a lot of mainline games, and I respect that. Money is money. Swap Force's 3DS plot is that Flynn and the gang are a celebrity at his hometown when suddenly Count Moneybones crashes the party. He then turns Callie into an undead soldier and announces his plan to do so to all of Skylands. So with Flynn and Hugo, you venture around to break into the world of the undead to confront Moneybones and save the day. Oh, I guess Callie is okay too, but it's irrelevant.
Hi, Dad.
This plot was pretty funny by the dialogue exchanges, and again, I adore how they utilize these handheld villains in some capacity because Moneybones was part of the plot of Superchargers that I originally thought was made new for the game. I love when stories do this, taking advantage of all the lore in their plots and making use of those one-time villains for some other event, big or small. But the biggest highlight to Swap Force is the fact that you can now use every Skylander you have registered on the go. Oh, my prayers, they were answered. Please bring anime monster girls, anime monster girls, anime monster girls, anime monster. Everything is still the same in the game, from the platforming to the levels being more explorative again. Honestly, just rebuilding on what Giants did to the 3DS series. But now, of course, you have the Swap Forcers who can interchange with their abilities. For a quick review, Swap Forcers had the top and bottom half, where the top registered the information, the bottom allows you to do challenges, as they would have a symbol on them like climbing or digging. And these challenges are tweaked from the console version that I honestly don't have a preference between the two. But what is different is how you can now use those Swap Force powers even in the levels. They don't do much, but I would say it's a cool add-on since now you can play around with it. So kudos to Swap Force 3DS for trying to be different. You get a gold star. And also a lot of Skylanders gameplay is slightly different, yet still fun enough, but a lot of the new tweaks got downplayed versions of the console series. By Giants, Skylanders were getting more creative with their gameplay, so with Spyros Adventure 3DS, those different tweaks were great because they needed them, while from then on, I feel like they were basically copying the console version's homework, but changing it up just a little.
He does exactly what I do, but better.
So Skylanders Swap Force 3DS is already a star hitter. I may have my tiny gripes with the gameplay, but nonetheless, I find it really amusing. Yet the best value that came out of this was how Skylanders were now registered to the game, so now you can use all your Skylanders whenever you want. This is the next best thing than boasted Twed. I'm having a stroke. Gone are the ways of only using 2 Skylanders, comes the freedom of having access to all of them. I can play Skylanders wherever I want. Of course, you still need to register them, but this is what makes Swap Force 3DS a huge stepping stone in the handheld series. I feel bad because I swear I don't try to jerk off Swap Force all the time, but they just know how to treat this hoe right. And this to me kind of proves that if Activision really wanted to make a kind of remaster without having to retread history, you know, they can just make a remastered collection with the character data inside the game, and then we just flip through it like in a menu or just like a quick little like sidebar. But that's a topic for another time, a video for another day, a problem that I will talk to my therapist about. So overall, Swap Force again has proven to be the limelight of the series, second place in my heart next to Spyros Adventure 3DS. Yet Swap Force really rebranded the handheld series to a level that was needed, just like the console version. And you know, so far the Skylanders handheld series is looking great. I mean, I feel like we can only just go up from here.
Wow, I wonder what's next for me.
You peaked.
What?
You peaked.
You're kidding! After all that?
Yeah, sorry.
So now we're on to Trap Team, where on the console side, this was a big moment because this was where Toys for Bob went above and beyond. Help, I have plastic STDs. I already said my problems in my review, but just remember that Trap Team was forcing players to need 8 elemental trap masters and trap crystals for the villains. So now we have the 3DS game with this one being developed by Beesnox, and they actually have quite the rapport, so they are trustworthy for now. Now, as you can probably tell, there is a huge drastic difference in the quality versus all the others, because again, versus handheld. And that is because when I was making the review, Trap Team does not work on the for some reason. So in order to play Trap Team, you actually have to play it on the actual hardware. The issue is I didn't have a copy before making this review, so I went through so much stress just to make it happen. And you ever try to homebrew your 3DS? Super simple. Sometimes issues just happen. And let's just say when one issue happens, another issue happens. And if another issue happens, then another issue happens. And another issue happens. And the next thing you know, you're at a Burger King crying. So the plot to Trap Team 3DS is that Hugo, my boy, accidentally read the most boring book ever that released the Realm of Dreams, that which the Nightmare Sheep and the Sleep Dragon cast a sleeping spell all over Skylands, so that the Nightmare Sheep can enact his plan to take over. So the Skylanders must wake everyone up and put a stop to the Dream Sheep's plans to once again save the day. But can we talk about how racist the sheep is to Mabus?
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Aside from the downgrade with the cutscenes being pictures, I love this plot. There's something whimsical about dreams and nightmares and stories, and especially the funny and straight guy stick that the Nightmare Sheep and Sleep Dragon have was comical. I adore this glue-eating goober.
That'll teach us to get ideas.
But boss, you know I don't get any ideas.
Well, see that you don't.
Then everyone else was basically, asleep, so that's cool. Yet I found the story amusing for what it was, and that's the same with the gameplay. Again, just like Swap Force, everything is the same, now continuing with the registered Skylanders, so you can play on the go easier. Also, the Trap Masters function the same too. They still can break Traptanium crystals, and they do more damage to bosses. Wait, what the hell is that? It's a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment. So Trap Masters actually got an ultimate that does make them somewhat unique, yet the spectacle is really the coolest part of them. Yet the villains though took a major shift. You still capture villains, now themed from the Dream Realm, but they are now delegated to being powerful summon attacks to clear out the horde. Then after you capture one, you do a challenge level with them that are simple puzzle challenges, with some being great, some being... And lastly, you can play around with them with the touchscreen to make horrible, low-quality racist memes, basically. Now the big difference added to the handheld series is how TT3DS took advantage of the 3DS's touchscreen and gyro. You could say the others did as well, as it was the only way to flip between Skylanders, but Trap Team 3DS has dedicated moments where you need to use the touchscreen for puzzle solving or the gyro to move around. I feel like most people find these aspects of a handheld game the worst thing ever created next to black licorice.
Which it is.
Yet I don't mind, I found some puzzles actually entertaining. Really, my biggest problem with Trap Team was how it hurt my thumbs. For reference, I was playing 1, 2, 3, and 5 on a Xbox controller. And with that, it's simple, it works in your hands, and the A button's over here, so it works out a lot. But then for Skylanders 3DS, I had to actually use the thumb pad and, this control scheme. And that's when I realized that, fast movements on a 3DS don't really work out in the Skylanders series because it hurt my thumbs. Doctor, is my thumb gonna be okay? Oh yeah, it's just 3DS thumb, it's okay. Also, you have cancer. Now I kinda see why they changed the level design to a slower pace, since the 3DS doesn't have the best control placements, and kids were practically playing Dance Dance Revolution with their fingers until it snapped. But now we are at the last of our journey with the one that I praised very highly, with Superchargers Racing. Oh, god damn it. In my Superchargers review, I mentioned how there were two versions of the game, such as the main version that has everything and the Wii version that has only the racing aspect. I didn't like that. What I didn't know though is that the 3DS version is basically just the Wii version but portable. Honey, fetch me my noose. I'm feeling daring today. Honestly, I was gonna drop this one since I didn't find Superchargers Racing that fun aside from the better mechanics, yet I felt it was wrong. I felt like I should do this since this will be my last time reviewing a Skylanders game, and so I actually completed SCR 3DS. I feel like I've committed a sin. The plot for SCR 3DS is Pendergast is running a contest to win the Snow Globe of Destiny for one free wish, and after every cup he does some fun commentary and even has guests on his show, and like always Chaos is the surprise villain at the end wanting the Snow Globe, but the Skylanders win and Flynn wishes for a fucking burrito? The game is just a game, what else can I say? Beesnox developed this game and they carried everything over by also having registered vehicles with the Skylanders for that handheld experience. I'm going to retread a lot here again, but Skylanders Superchargers Racing focused on 3 main vehicle types, with the cars having fun drift abilities and jumping for that smooth control. The boats were the highlights as you can do tricks in the air for speed and even go underwater to avoid obstacles, and the planes played the same but with a turbo mode that would push you forward faster at the cost of mobility. There's a low-hanging joke here, but I won't take it. In the Tourney Cups, you complete each challenge that the level has, making your way to the end that typically is a race, some form of challenge unique to those vehicles, and then the fun ones like choppy vehicular manslaughter. The only big noticeable difference is now that I've completed the game, I didn't know they did railgun boss fights, and in the 3DS version, the unlockable villains to races got some changes with Pinata and Cranking Case for example. Yet with all of this, I still was bored with the game. The levels were entertaining, but I can only do the same track with a different challenge so many times before I'm gonna superchargers my head with a brick. I guess if you're a fan of this style of gameplay, go at it, Queen. Especially since if you want the Wii version on the go, you can experience it with the 3DS version. And at least this was another version that allowed Donkey Kong and Bowser being playable. But who's the sick bastard that made Bowser exclusive to the 3DS version too?
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary Krabby. Oh my goodness!
So that's all the Skylanders 3DS games. They did their job, I would say, by giving a complete Skylanders experience on the handheld side. It's interesting because I can't really point out a game that was so bad it did something to the series. Like, even though I have my gripes with Superchargers Racing 3DS, that's a racing game in its core, so it gets leniency, especially since it's a perfect fit for a handheld series. I'm not excusing the Wii version though. It's surprising how these games went under the radar when they're pretty competent experiences because they clearly weren't dog water for a handheld game. My predictions on what could have gone wrong is probably the marketing. Since Skylanders got such high marketing back in the day, it geared of course to the console versions, with the 3DS line getting minimal to none. And again, the Wii was the high seller for Skylanders, so I doubt a lot of parents were going to give their kids 2 versions of the game unless you were the weirdo on the playground who only played the 3DS ones. I am so sorry. I hope you grew up to be a doctor or a sex god. I can also guess it's due to the accessibility of them now too. As time goes on, it's becoming harder to collect these Toys to Life collectibles. They either sell out fast or people are hoarding them in the attic for the winter. And now put that into perspective with how 3DS games are already having horrible preservation. So now when it comes to Skylanders 3DS side, you have to somehow find a copy of the games and a small portal, and I doubt anyone has the time to do all of that just to get a taste of handheld nostalgia. So I guess if you are interested in the Skylanders 3DS side, it will take some work, but it is worth the fun, I would say. I can now appreciate these games more, and with officially completing every Skylanders game, it's another bittersweet ending, and I doubt I missed a Skylanders game to my review.
Allow us to introduce ourselves.